Alright, so in this video we're going to be talking about how to attach a wooden dowel to your crochet tapestry so that it's ready for hanging. Let's get into it. Okay, so to begin, we want to get your wooden dowel or whatever you're using to hang your work. I just got this one from my dollar store. It is a little bit shorter than I'd like it to be. I typically like to have a little extra space on the ends, but this one will do for my piece right now. If you do want a longer one, you can get those usually from your local home improvement store, places like that. But essentially, I did not cut my yarn after finishing my last row of single crochets, and I've now turned my work. Now the idea here is that we're going to single crochet the dowel onto our work and try to line it up such that the very top of the stitch will be on the top of the dowel. So I'll show you what that looks like. Now with my last single crochet, I've just pulled up a pretty decent size loop. I'm going to insert my hook into that first stitch. Now the first one's always kind of the trickiest, but basically I'm going to make sure that my next loop will go right over my dowel here. So as you can see, I've got now my two loops from my single crochet over my hook, and then I will finish that off just as usual. So now I've got it looking like that. So I've got all my strings on the front and then a single one on the back. So I'll show you that again. I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch. Actually, before that, I just make sure I have enough slack on my hook. Insert into the stitch. I'm going to yarn under, pull through like I would for all my other single crochets. Make sure I really pull up that loop, and then yarn over, pull through, finish that stitch, and pull tight to finish. So now I've got two stitches on my hook there, and that's how we're going to continue. What some people like to do, if you have an odd number across, is just do every other stitch. So that's another option. Because this is an even number of stitches and I like the look of having a bunch of string there, I'm choosing to do this way. But if you do have an odd number of stitches, then you can do every other single crochet for a more like minimalist sort of look. So I'm going to continue all the way across. I'll show you one more time before I do that, a little closer up, and then we will skip to the end and show you how to make it hangable. So essentially, again, I'm going to pull up this loop, make sure it's long enough and goes from this height to here. Insert my hook, yarn under, pull through just like I would for my normal single crochet. Pull up this loop on my hook to the height of the dowel, and then finish off my stitch. Pull nice and tight, and there we go. So now you can see it's really starting to get its shape there. Perfect. I will finish this and see you at the end. Okay, so I finished all my single crochets. I've got one in every single stitch with the dowel included all the way across my work. And then I finished this off and that's what we've got. So I'm going to weave this end into the back of my work just so that that looks all tidy on the front. Again, I don't have a lot of space on the dowels at the end, so I am a little at risk of losing a stitch. So if you're able, definitely get one that is a little bit longer than your work compared to this, just so that everything is super secure. So now I am going to take the rest of my yarn and attach a string such that it can be hung. So there are a few ways you can do this. I think my favorite way is just to wrap it around the dowel a few times and then also attach it through the final single crochet stitch of the piece on both sides. So that's an option. Otherwise, you can kind of attach it any way you feel fits and is secure. That's how I'm going to do it. The other thing is that you do have some liberty with what you want that string to look like. So I really like the more minimalist look of just having a single strand of yarn there, but some people might like to use a chain or use a foundation chain that has single crochet just so it's thicker and looks a bit more like a rope. I'm just going to use this, and my yarn is strong enough that this will support all of my work while it is hanging. So I'm going to go ahead and attach my yarn and I'll show you what the finished product looks like. Okay, so here is my final piece of work. As I mentioned before, I essentially just wrapped this piece of yarn around the end of the dowel a couple times and fed that through the final single crochet just for added support. It really doesn't matter how you do this. I just suggest that you weave in those ends into the back of your work so everything looks nice and clean, and that you choose a length of yarn that will reflect how you want it to hang when you do have it hung. So I used a pretty short piece because I like having this smaller triangle shape, though you can use a larger piece of string and make that, that triangle a lot larger. Totally up to you. Also just account for the stretch in your yarn. So mine looks like this when it's just kind of sitting on the table, but when I hang it, it'll look a little more like that. So just some things to keep in mind, but hopefully this was helpful for you and you are now ready to attach your dowel. And if you have any questions, please let me know and I will get back to you as soon as possible. All right, thanks for watching.